Okay, we are back with co-host with the most,
Fake
Caleb
Ian.
Porzio. Fake Ian.
Not Ian, co-host.
And we're on Aaron's super bad camera because I came back to the studio and turned everything on and it said plug in or charge battery, and it's literally never been unplugged in the entire existence of the studio. So I don't know what the Primeagen did to my camera, but we're gonna blame it on him. So I've got the good one over here and the bad one on the tripod. So sorry about that.
Well, now we're more even of a like production. You're on
Yeah.
my level. We both. I don't know if you're on my level yet, but you're coming down. So
It's a man of the people move. I'm just trying to make.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to be approachable.
you gotta keep it real.
That's
You
right.
gotta have a poorly lit office
Yep.
if you're gonna keep it real.
That's how I get people to trust me, is I downgrade my production equipment.
You put the lenses back in the glasses and you
Mhm.
dim those lights.
Exactly. Yeah, it's weird. You can see more of the background than I'm used to. Anyway, this is not interesting for an audio podcast. Caleb,
Aaron
you're back
Francis,
home.
As are you.
As I am.
As you are. You never left.
I never left, in fact, because I do indeed live here in Dallas, Texas.
Shout out to Dallas, Texas, because I gave you some crap on the last show for making us all go to Dallas and sweat. Okay, not that hot.
Okay, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
Not that bad.
Yeah.
It's hot, but like it's not Arizona hot.
Yep.
It's not that hot. Like your steering wheel doesn't like melt off your car. Like it's
correct.
Fine. And who cares? You're in AC the whole time.
Yep.
Who cares? No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares.
The only time I care is when we're at the after dark party that was outside, and I was carrying around my backpack like an idiot, so I got sweaty back. That's not great.
Right. Yeah, it's not great. But it was nighttime. The only time that I think actually sucked a little was the line. Going in, like the line was so big.
Yep.
People were waiting out there for so long, and I did like man of the people. Like I'm gonna wait in this line. I'm just gonna queue up, talking with folks, whatever, just hanging out. I made it about a half hour, and then I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm bouncing out.
Hour?
Yeah. Is that a little
long? No, that's forever.
I know. Yeah, I was just hanging out and like kind of just I was walking with somebody to the conference. Just like met up with some folks. I'm like, I'm just like you. We're just walking to the conference.
Right.
We're walking into the line, wherever that is, around the block. And then it was just like, guys, I'm so sorry. I got to bounce.
And then you came clean. Guys, I'm not like you at all.
I'm not like you at all. And I just went,
I got to get out of here.
And they went, oh.
The speaker escort ran over and pulled you out of the muck and the mire.
Yeah, with their finger in their ear. That's right. Aaron, can I do a quick ad read?
Yeah, do an ad read. I love an ad read.
All right. Because I never do this on my own podcast and I keep forgetting, but I have the t-shirt now.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Transistor FM, baby. Yes. I just realized like Transistor is the most useful piece of software that we all adore, but it's like invisible.
It is.
It's invisible. The listener doesn't hear that it's Transistor. This podcast is coming to you from Transistor FM, as is all of my podcasts and every podcast. And it's run by Justin Jackson, who's just the best and reminds us all of that when he blesses us with his presence at Laracon.
And on the basketball court.
And on the basketball court, right? Which to you,
we need to talk about the basketball court. But first, this episode is actually brought to you by Spotsy, and so we'll have an ad for that.
Oh,
later.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We could do a Spotsy. We could do an impromptu Spotsy ad read and off.
No, there's an actual ad read I got to read later, but there's a free one for you, Justin.
Spotsy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, basketball game.
Yeah.
Hit me with a recap of the basketball game. So I was recruited to be on the basketball team, and I know thyself and thought, not a freaking chance. No way I'm going to be on the basketball court. So I put on the suit and did a little bit so that I wouldn't have to play.
Interesting that coaching is less stressful to you than playing basketball.
Yes, absolutely. Coaching is just like there's no one else doing it, besides Will King, and then he abandoned me at halftime. So
sure.
Shouts out to Will King for being a traitor. But yeah, if you actually go out on the basketball court, you have to play basketball. That's the problem.
You do.
And I
I
don't play basketball.
Same. But I did.
I'm shocked to hear this.
Did you before, be honest, did you know what zone defense was?
I did, in fact.
Okay, so you could coach.
Yeah. The extent to which I was useful is the extent to which basketball and soccer overlap. And surprisingly, it's not zero. So my entire life, I played
similar
soccer.
Shaped courts.
Yes.
Similar
shaped courts. You use hands in one and feet in the other, but it's like, those are kind of the same thing.
Similar.
But the only thing I could contribute was, one, don't sub out Taylor and don't sub out Tom. That was my biggest contribution, was like, Taylor and Tom, leave them in the game.
Leave them in the game.
Second contribution, let them sweat. You're the boss. I serve at the pleasure of Taylor and Tom. And I actually told them that. I was like, hey guys, I'm just here to be funny. So don't listen to anything that I say.
Right.
The second place that I was useful was here's an actual tactic. Here's a tactic. Y'all got to slow down. You got to spread out, and you got to talk to each other.
Just look at Aaron.
Because guys, it was not great. It was not great basketball.
Oh, basketball. So briefly, I similarly was asked to play basketball, and I gave a wishy-washy. I'm stressing out about my talk. I'm stressing out about Flux. I got so much to stress out about. The last thing I need to stress out about is looking like an idiot playing basketball, which I don't play. I've never actually played a team sport since soccer when I was a kid, So I'm
soccer.
not a team sport guy. I've played basketball, just with friends. So I don't know what zone defense is or anything like that. Whatever. Any basketball I've played is just there's a ball and you chase it and you don't double dribble and you put it in the hoop and it's all good. You check. That's as far as I go. It's I know how to check.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
You give it to me and then we start.
And then we start. Yeah. I don't know why we do it, but we do.
I don't know.
Right. It's fun.
Respect for the game.
It's a respect thing. So they asked me, and I was like, and my flight, I didn't know when it would land. It was that day. I'm like, wishy-washy, probably not, maybe, but whatever. And they're like, we'll buy you a jersey. You can keep it as a souvenir. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I'm thinking I kind of escaped this and got a jersey.
Right.
Like, oh, this is a win-win. And then Dave Hill saw me. Is it David Hill or Dave? Can you call him Dave?
You can call him Dave. I think his name is David. I think he goes by David. But if you're doing a folksy thing, you could call him Dave.
He wouldn't mind? Well, because
oh, yeah, I have no idea. I don't know about that.
That's what I was looking for. We'll stick with David,
We'll stick with David.
If the Twitter profile says David, this is the Michael Dorinda and Jake Bennett thing where it's Michael Dorinda, Jake Bennett, not
that's
Jacob.
Interesting.
Bennett.
And not Mike Dorinda.
And Mike Dorinda. He's
Mike
not Mike.
Dorinda sounds super off.
Yes. So that was something at first I had to dial. I was like, wait, so you are okay with Jake, are a Michael. So Jacob Dorinda. So basketball.
So Dave hits you up.
So Dave hits me up and he sees me at the hotel and everybody's going to the game and he's like, oh, you made it. All right, you're in, And I'm
no.
And everybody's there and they're all like, well, you're in. And I'm like, all right, I'm in, whatever.
I did not know that.
So then we get there, but they don't have my jersey.
What?
It was he's like, oh, it might have been a last minute thing. They might, it was a Chinese thing that they're slow and they didn't, whatever. And so he hands me a terminal shop jersey. So now I'm on the team with all the people who are good and don't know me,
Right, of course.
Yes. Me and Justin Jackson. He's
you and Justin Jackson. Yeah.
Me and Justin Jackson. So, and they're far better.
You're the token funny guys on that team.
Oh, man, I know. And so I'm going to come back to that. But at the end of the game, Nuno Maduro, shout out to Nuno. Not a great shout out, Nuno.
Uh-oh.
comes up to me and goes, hey, is this your jersey? In his hand, he's got my jersey. And I'm
the whole time?
The whole time. And everybody just thought I didn't belong. They didn't announce me on the roster. It says Porzio on the back. I got a whole jersey with my name on it on the Laravel team. I don't know how he got it and why he held on to it the whole time. But literally after he comes up to me, and then he's like, do you want to trade, for that? I was like, Nuno, come on, man.
Man.
So anyway.
The fact that it had your name on it and he still hit you with the, is this your jersey?
Well, I don't want to say that he necessarily, because Nuno, I'm not.
Oh, man. That's
Yeah,
good. That's
but
good comedy,
it
Nuno. Bravo.
definitely right. It was I was like, oh no, who found
Yeah.
this when where I
This is my
probably missed
jersey.
it honestly, and he just like picked it up for me,
Probably. Good guy
benefit of the
Nuno would
doubt
do that.
to
Yeah.
Nuno. It's funnier to paint him like a thief, a
Right.
jersey thief that intentionally robbed me of my identity.
I did not realize you were supposed to be on the Laravel team. I was
Supposed to be on the Laravel
confused.
team. I have right. They didn't announce me on the roster at all. I just stood
Right.
there.
Oh, they
Like,
didn't. They didn't
they
like when they
announced
were going
everybody.
down the lineup.
Not at all. And so not only do I suck at basketball, I don't have a jersey. They didn't announce me, and here I am. So yes.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I showed up to the actual conference that I was the MC of, and I didn't have a badge. So I got
nice.
I got one of the lame like, hey, this guy was added late badges. So we're on the same page there.
Yeah, there should be a bit. I don't want to. Again, we're trying to be a man of the people here, but
of course,
it's not. It's not easy sometimes.
Come on, hey.
My badge is just like anybody else's badge. It's just a badge of the people. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't have like speaker.
It doesn't have speaker.
4 stars, like he's
emeritus
like,
or anything like that.
Exactly right. Yes. So I tried to get backstage like right away, and they were like giving me a hard time, and I'm like trying to find somebody like, hey, tell them who I am.
Tell them who I am.
Tell them who I am. Do you have any idea who I am? Oh, you're gonna hear about this later.
Do you know who my father is? Have you ever met Big Guy?
So, Aaron, we also have to clear that like everybody said nobody cares about this game. Nobody cares. It's just for fun.
Yeah.
Bald faced liars.
Yeah, you got super bamboozled on that one.
Forever. We don't care. I suck.
It's just for fun. It's just gonna be silly. Okay. That went out the window.
The only people who kept it real were Daniel Colborn and Justin Jackson. If it weren't for those two guys.
That's right.
Oh man. Everybody, they're like, oh yeah, we suck. And I'm like, yeah, you guys suck. So do I. Great.
Yeah, it's gonna
Everyone
be fun.
Else?
No.
They took it crazy seriously.
Yep.
And are very good compared to
good.
Non-good people.
Meanwhile, Daniel's sitting on the bench ripping sweet vapes, and we've got people. we've got college athletes out there, and Daniel's like, "Put me in, coach." I'm
Literally,
like, I don't know, man.
Dude. Tweet.
I don't know.
Tweet of right. He was,
and Justin Jackson has on his like hip dress sneakers, and these other guys are like wearing Air Force Ones, and I'm like, all right, I kind of got to read on the teams here. I know who's who.
Oh yeah, I was wearing Adidas, like not a sporty Adidas. Like these are not basketball. So my wife,
they're fashion Adidas.
This is so much funnier through the lens of Hannah and her comments to me. Among many of them were afterwards, I'm like, okay, give it to me for real. Like how dumb did we look? Like how bad was it? And because she watched the West Boston Scott Talinsky stream, and I was like, were they like grabbing at straws or whatever, trying to come up with stuff? And they said, well, she said one thing. She said they didn't know who you were because they never announced you. So they're both it took them forever. I made my big basket,
Yeah, your big basket. We would all remember the big basket.
Hoping that's the term that you use. And like, but hey, I did contribute.
Yeah.
And I came in hot. And apparently they're like, they had no idea who it was. And then later on, they're like, who is that? Right, no name. Literally says 0. What kind of metaphor is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then they're, wait, that's Caleb. What is that? Didn't he just bust $1 million on GitHub sponsors? And now he's playing basketball?
Nice. Now he's hitting the big basket. That's awesome.
Yeah, but nobody. So she said the only thing that I think stood out is like, you could tell you weren't wearing basketball sneakers. She's like, everybody else was wearing basketball sneakers, and you were wearing just like shoes, So
Justin wasn't,
anyway,
and I guarantee you, Daniel wasn't wearing basketball sneakers either.
No way, flip flops. Yeah.
Gotta be
Chacos. I don't know.
I bought some new coaches sneakers just for that game.
Those look good.
To match the blue suit.
Very coach.
Right?
Oh,
it was a good outfit. People were giving me a hard time about the whistle. Like, coaches don't wear whistles. I'm like, have you ever seen a movie in your life? Yeah. Like, yeah, we don't go out there and call penalties or fouls or whatever you call them. But still, coaches wear whistles. Of course they wear whistles.
Don't tell me coaches don't wear whistles.
That's what I'm saying.
They wear whistles.
They wear whistles. Maybe not to a game, but this is a scrimmage, Coaches wear whistles.
Coaches wear whistles. They gotta wear a whistle, and then like just let it drop out of their mouth. You know,
Exactly.
like they're just like kind of playing on their share and then just go.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah.
See,
okay.
We've watched all the same movies. You get it.
We've seen the same movies, but yeah, the tweet of Laracon, the tweet of the entire weekend was John Trexler's tweet. That's like, as soon as I saw, what was it? It's so much better than what I'm saying. It was like, as soon as I saw Daniel hitting the vape on the bench, I knew what we were in for. Or something.
I knew it was over. I think is what he said.
Yeah. Daniel's vaping on the bench. Oh my god!
Man.
So yeah. All right. But yeah, Hannah did. Again, I want to tell every story through the lens of Hannah's text to me, and her, was like, "Oh, how was it? Looked like pretty fun, but kind of awkward," is what she said.
Oh, brutal!
Like, oh no,
brutal.
Oh, no.
That means it looked so awkward.
She did.
That means it looked terrible.
That it wasn't just me. It's the whatever. So anyway.
I mean, I think we played 4 quarters of 9 minutes each, and the final score was like 24-16 or something. It was like, y'all, we're not putting these in. It was not great.
No. So yeah, basketball fun though. I think
fun though.
We got to do it again, but next time it's got to be with like you play basketball with like a volleyball or something. I don't know, something stupid. Like somebody needs to sub it out for like a rubber chicken or something.
A little bit more low stakes.
Then it'd be fun. You know,
I still think dodgeball would be so fun.
Dude, dodgeball can be the same where people really. I've seen some things with dodgeball.
You've seen some.
I worked at a summer camp.
Decimate some 8th graders.
Seriously,
yeah.
The most like kind-hearted, like fruit of the spirit folks.
That's right.
Just with big limbs, you know, just freaking windmill. You know,
just roasting some 8th grade boys in the face. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously. No mercy.
No mercy. Cartoon style. Leave their feet. Yeah.
Yes.
We should do it. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Dodgeball would be great. We got to do dodgeball. Yeah. Oh, great. So, yeah, basketball. What a way to kick it off.
What a way to kick it off. What a way to kick it off. Good time. Good time. And we roll into, let's see what else. We roll into day one. Big day one. Good day one.
Good day one.
Anything? Well, I don't want to go over all the talks because that sounds boring.
Let me just shout out to you, Aaron Francis.
Shout out to me.
I shouted you out in person, but let me put this out there: that like when I was coming up, I remember looking at certain folks who I considered, the Laravel elite, and I was not an elite. And when I first got like my big break to go on stage. Made it in as a nobody, just submitted a talk, whatever. Like nobody knew who I was. I just put out a talk. It got accepted. I was thrilled. This was like the thing for me. And I gave this talk and I knew it killed. It did. Yeah, this was the Embrace the Backend, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
Everybody loved it. It was like I won the lottery or something. It was just people coming up to me, just cheer. It was a whole thing because whatever. For me, it was a big deal. And I knew that the people I wanted to see it the most didn't see it. I knew, and it was a long struggle of like, now I think Taylor watches my talks, but and I'm not saying this is whatever. I don't watch people's talks anymore for the most part, just so you know. So I'm the problem. Totally. I get it. But at that point, I remember having like, I got to do that again and again and again. And eventually maybe one of them will hear that his talks are good. You should have him back next year.
Yep.
Whatever, that kind of thing. Aaron Francis has the, the pedigree or the privilege or whatever of somebody who could easily not watch talks, but people want him to know that if they're good, they want him to know. And Aaron watches every single talk, which is insane. And I remember I was principled for a few years. I tried to watch everybody's talk. Now it's all over. It's all over. But anyway, kudos to you. That's a power move because you don't have to. And you do.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I appreciate that. So I take my responsibilities, all of them, every responsibility, every duty. I take all of those very seriously, up to and including being an MC. And so like part of it is I got to come back out on stage and have like
it's part of the job, right? You can't
intelligent conversation with the speaker and not phone it in, because I think if you come out and you're phoning it in, it's like rude to the speaker. It's a little bit demoralizing. It's a little bit, the audience is like, this guy didn't even watch the talk. And so I would love to I'd love to bebop around backstage and shake hands and point at people. But yeah, I watched every single talk from side stage, peeking through the little curtain with my phone out, taking notes to make sure I knew what was going on.
Yeah,
and it's fun. I enjoy it, but it is a lot of work.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's great, and we're in a unique position where we have somebody who's like uniquely good at emceeing and things like that, but also knows the community, knows the people, knows the tech, and has the grit to watch these talks and whatever. It's like it's a small list. Like Matt Stauffer is somebody I could think of that could do this. Like that would it's a small list, and you do it well. So Aaron Francis,
well, thanks,
good man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. They asked me after the event staff asked me after the conference if I'd want to MC some of their other events.
Yeah.
And I told them, send me an email. I'm up for anything, what
go right into the bin, but
let's see what you got. But I did think about how would I host, Century 21 Midwest Regional Sales Conference? That would be a lot harder.
You could do it. That would be a lot harder.
That would
you could do it
so much harder.
Oh yeah, no.
Go out there and be like, well, houses, am I right?
I'm hoping that the fact the people who do stuff at the factory are I'm thinking all those people, they got to be going to the hotels conferences.
yeah.
If you're at the factory, you're at least a little cool.
You're at least a little cool. But this group is the same one that did Nashville last year. So I don't know where this events group is based.
Oh.
But maybe they do, if they do purely tech conferences, I could totally host Rails World, or
sure,
I could host some sort of tech agnostic, GitHub Universe style thing. I could totally do that.
Yeah.
But some of them I'd be like, y'all, I have no idea what any of y'all are talking about. And that would be kind of tough.
Yeah. It's nice. It's very nice.
Fun though. I like it. But I like being out on stage. I have a great time.
Yeah. It's but you got to do all that other work. That's the problem.
You got to do all that other work.
It's nice to just be on stage. I just get to go on stage,
I know.
And I don't have to do all the other work. And then they just have technical problems, and then I get to just vamp with you.
Man,
and
how was that?
And we have fun. It was great.
That was great.
That was the highlight of the conference for me.
I think that was the highlight of the conference for me too.
Yeah. It was something that we're just uniquely good at, and it just fell into our lap.
I know.
It's
we love a disaster where everyone is like, this is gonna be a disaster, and you and I are like, oh, this is our opportunity.
Here we go.
And everybody's on our team because they're like, I can't imagine doing this.
I know.
What an opportunity.
Oh, it's the most charitable crowd in the world. Because the baseline, the expectation is just seeing your way off stage or sweating a lot and being silent, Yeah. So
when I saw you, so of course I'm sitting side stage watching,
Yeah.
And when I saw that it wasn't working, I gave it, a few 30 seconds, minute and a half, and then was like, this is not going to work. And so I looked at Aspen, who's the production manager, and I said, turn on my mic. I have to go save him.
Yeah.
And so she turned on my mic, and I ran out there and had no idea what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful. We had the whole backstage. We had a whole episode of Seinfeld backstage talking about handshakes.
Right, literally just right before I went on stage.
It. Yeah,
we're doing this whole handshake bit for an audience of 4, and it's funny, and we're whatever. And one of us probably said this, I don't know, and then just happened to be able to replay the bit.
It was great,
right away. Yeah, the
great.
Part before that's a blur, because that was the only part that I wasn't nervous because something's going wrong. It's not I was the reason it was going wrong, So I wasn't nervous. I didn't feel like, oh, this is going south and it's whatever. It's not if my demo stopped working or something, But it was, kind of a flurry. And I remember I can't wait to watch the video, because I remember doing a 60 minutes on my name pronunciation or something. Literally just.
I remember that at all.
Oh, I think literally my opener is yeah, so I'm Caleb. Caleb is how you pronounce it.
Oh, brutal.
Or Caleb. I was actually getting laughs, but it was how long am I going to
when I ran out? Because that might have been my signal to be
it's
oh, dude, he's dying on the vine.
And then I was like, well, how much? I don't think I can do much more on this name thing,
Because we've only got 2 syllables, and we just kind of did that whole thing.
We got through all the pronunciation. So anyway.
Yeah, and
I'm
then,
excited to watch it.
And I told Hank, the Laravel marketing guy, I was like,
Yeah.
listen, I'm sure that's not going to end up on the channel, but I want that footage.
Yeah.
Please preserve that for posterity.
Right.
Because that was good. That was good content, man.
It
It
was
was a
good.
great bit.
It was
It's a
good
great bit.
content. Yep.
And then I get to announce you back on stage, Caleb Porzio, for the first time today. That's great.
Yeah.
Come on. Hey.
I mean, talk about the easiest entrance ever, you know.
Yeah, you
I was
just
just
been
on
working the
stage for like,
room.
how long was I on stage for
I think
before I even started my talk?
I think it was a full 30 minutes because
Yeah,
I think
right?
you were
Like,
supposed to
solid.
start at 9:30 and we
Yeah.
pushed it to 10. And I gave you an out. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, guys, this is not working. We will come back at 10. And you're like, hey, what if we take some Q&A? Like, this guy. What a freaking pro, this guy.
Do it.
And you just worked the room. It was awesome.
That was super fun. Yeah, that was really fun. And there was hilarious questions. You know, the one dude was like, why does the Livewire logo look the way it does?
Yeah.
There were some funny ones. So yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, re-entering the stage after like we've already been chilling for a half an hour. And I gotta say, the first slot, second day, is generally a pretty good. Like, there's a lot worse slots. You know, there's plenty of worse slots. It's maybe the third best slot. I don't know. But looking at like when I got on stage, I was actually glad we had an extra half hour because there weren't that many people there. Yeah, like second day, Daniel wasn't there.
He rolled in sleepyhead at like 9:50 to be like, hey, what's this show going on here?
So this is what I get like I was gonna say this on stage, but I did. He messaged me, so I'm like there for my Deke, you know, like I'm backstage with him, pumping him up, dude. So pumped, like sitting front row, screaming obscenities, getting off stage for obscenity. Okay, I don't think you clarified it. What is it?
Obscenities.
Okay. Yeah. So, pumping him up, whatever. He's grateful. He messages me like late at night. I was already sleeping, so this should be my first sign. But he messaged me. He's like, dude, you know, being a bro, and he's like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna be there for you, man. Like, you know, this whole thing.
This is not gonna go well for you, Daniel. I know where
like,
I know where this story is going.
Literally, like on stage, we're like, oh well, Daniel. Wait, where's Daniel?
Where's that guy? Where's that shaggy
But
dog?
anyway, Daniel and many others were not there because I don't know. Like, First Talk first day has full attendance, right? You know, Last Talk first day has full attendance. First Talk second day does not have full attendance.
Well, it's a crack of 9:30. Who can be expected to
Everybody's
get up
been after dark.
9:30.
You know? I know. I couldn't believe it. It's like, do you guys have kids? This is like noon and kid time. Like,
exactly.
We've been up for days. Yeah. And then what do you think of like Last Talk second day? Because then you have people who are starting to leave and whatever, like
starting to leave early.
How well attended is that, you think?
I think extremely well attended. I think the only reason you wouldn't be there Last Talk second day is if you for some reason had to go home early.
Right. Yeah.
And I think who was it that told me? Oh, Jess Archer told me last year at Nashville that slot is called the lock note. So you have the keynote at the beginning of the day and the lock note at the end of the day. And that is supposed to be a big name that keeps people around. And so I think that's why they put Primogen at the very end so that people would stay throughout the whole conference.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, that's essential. It just felt intuitive, but that's cool. Lock note.
I know. I'd never heard that.
Yeah, that's cool. It's the worst slot as a speaker, you know?
Yeah. Because you get to experience anxiety all the way up until the conference is over.
Yeah, you get to enjoy none of the conference. None of it. Yep. None of it.
Although I will say, I think Prime is extremely relaxed and enjoyed the whole conference, and then walked out on the stage, no slides, no notes, and just gave 15 minutes and just crushed it. So
yeah, and I think most professional, and I could be totally wrong on this, but it just seems like, you know, usually the keynote is somebody who does this a lot. Yeah. Like an Uncle Bob or something. Like this is what they do. And a lot of times I think they're only there for their talk, you know?
Yeah. That's one thing I really appreciate about Laracon is all the speakers are just there the whole time, all the time. Yeah. Like Primogen was there from before day one to the very end, and he was hanging out and chatting and bebopping. I love that.
Yep. That is huge. Those are the things. Those are special things. They're rare. They're special. I remember Sandy Metz in 2017 or 18 or something. I don't know. But she I think it was like Louisville. I don't even know what year that was. And she like showed up, and she's a pretty big name and
Yeah, she's a
big
name.
speaker and whatever. And I don't think she stayed the whole conference, but I remember her being in the audience the talk before her talk. She was like sitting there enjoying the talk. I sat next to
Cool.
her and just chatted it up, and then it was like, wow, like you were on next and you were the closer, and the talk before your talk, you were mingling with people, you were sitting in the seat paying attention to someone else's talk and cheering for them and being interested in the content. Like those are the things that I aspire to. It's like, that's really cool.
That's the ultimate quiet display of power right there.
True.
To be like, I'm going to go on next.
Right.
I'm a big name, but I'm going to sit here relaxed and support other people. That's
Right.
like,
that's
wild? Quiet confidence. That's crazy.
Totally.
If I were, whenever I give a talk, I never listen to the person right before me.
Yeah, no one does. You're like,
because I'm
growing up,
like
or you're
back
just
there
whatever,
making sure everything's good, shaking out the jitters. But yeah, maybe someday I'll get there.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
I know. Yeah, you got to be pretty. I mean, I at least needed like, I think I had more of that vibe this time than ever, but I definitely needed that. I've done this before where you forget to take a minute to like put your brain in the space.
Yep.
And then you go out there and you're feeling all good because you're feeling all good backstage, but then you like remember that you have to know like your intro bit. You have to know, like, you have to know what slides coming. You have to know these things. You can't be unprepared in that way. And so I've remembered this time, and I just took like, I think it was like 5 minutes of just cone of silence to like, I say this, then I say that, then I say that, then, and okay, and keep it fresh and then go, So anyway, yeah, so good conference. There needs to be a day 2 something so that people don't just disperse and stuff. And they kicked us out pretty early and stuff. I don't know.
Yes.
Right? Like, don't they need a day 2 something?
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Spotsy, who create all the packages that you know and love for Laravel. But today, specifically, we're going to talk about Mail Coach. And Mail Coach is one of their paid offerings that is fantastic. It is a email sending platform. You can self-host it, so you can like pull it into your Laravel application and host it yourself. Or you can use their hosted version with Mail Coach. You get all the stuff that you kind of expect out of a mail sending platform. You get automations, you get workflows, onboarding leads, drip campaigns, anything else. But you pay for what you send and not the size of your audience. So when you are massively successful and you get a ton of people on your email list, you don't pay to keep those people on your list month after month. You just pay for the stuff that you send. They are, of course, privacy first by design. The tracking is all optional. You can use their API to integrate it into your existing workflows, but they also have a visual interface where you can go write in Markdown or whatever else so that you can use that without having to write any code. You can visit mailcoach.app to register for a free trial, no credit card required. And for listeners of the podcast, you can use discount code Mostly Technical for 3 months free. We're super grateful to Spotsy for sponsoring the show and for all the work they do in open source. So go give Mailcoach a try at mailcoach.app. Okay, back to the show. So you want to
almost more than a day 1 something.
You want to do notes? You want to compare notes on?
Let's do notes. Yeah,
let's do notes. Yeah. I have some notes, and cool. I'll start by saying best conference, most favorite conference, extremely well done. Love the conference.
Same.
Minor notes that I will forward on to the production staff. I have promised them that I would give them my feedback. Loud music at the post conference hangout is real tough.
At the after dark, not in the thing.
Either. Yeah. At the mix and mingle or the after dark, it's tough.
Yeah.
Because that was the case this year and in Nashville. In Nashville, I felt so bad for the artist because he literally cleared the room when he went on the stage.
Nashville was brutal. Because
everybody's like, well, I'm here. I flew to America to talk to people.
Right.
Let's go where we can talk. Yeah.
Yes. And I don't fault people for that at all.
Oh no, I'm what
of
is
that mind.
Yeah, I'm the first person to be like, hey, let's step outside so we can talk. And so that would be, I think that's maybe one of my number one pieces of feedback. Like, I love the vibe that it creates. The live music creates like an energetic vibe.
Yeah.
But I think it needs to be like a Spotify playlist played much lower.
Yeah.
like
I mean, do you hear my
that's
voice
not,
right now? This is like a
yes.
week, like 4 days since being home or something. This is my
Yes.
voice still. It's not
And
like
the
this
whole
normally, you know?
the whole time I was there, I was sucking on cough drops because I was like, my voice is wrecked.
Yeah, you're just yelling the whole
You're
time.
just shouting at people the whole
Yeah.
time. So that was tough. And then one other, this is along the same vector. I think we could have one fewer talk per day.
Yeah. Yep. I think one fewer talk per day would give it. Oh, and it would build in more space for technical difficulties, obviously.
Yeah.
But it would just build in space, and it obviously talks are what percentage of talks are so important. They are the the backbone
Right.
of the conference, and for so many people who are there solo and whatever,
Yes.
the talks are what they're doing, because
Mhm.
the alternative is social awkwardness.
Right.
So talks are super important. But yeah, like having it more breathing room, definitely better. I mean, we talked about this stuff, me and you, but like it used to be longer talks, so going down to 30 minutes was an innovation. And I remember being like,
great.
oh, this is so much better.
Yep.
It makes everyone's talk harder.
Mm-hmm.
It's much harder to do 30 minutes than it is 45.
But it makes the audience's experience so much better.
So much better.
Yeah.
Similarly, if they were 20 minutes, honestly, it'd probably be even
that'd be
better.
Awesome. That'd be crazy.
Right? Like it should be like TED Talk length, you know?
Yeah.
Little micro talks. Yeah, because I mean, whatever. So yes, agreed. One less talk per day. Music. Yeah. I mean, even if it's a hard problem to solve, because do you have no music?
I know, that's you
At
want
the
it
venue,
to be vibey. You want
no
it to be
music,
vibey.
Just background, whatever. Put on
I think background
the radio,
music.
like
yeah.
At an After Dark event or something. Yeah, even that.
Well, you remember After Dark Nashville? Three floors,
disgustingly bad.
3 floors of live bands, and everyone ended up on the roof. 3
empty floors and a packed roof.
Packed roof.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was tough. It was tough.
That was much tougher than this. This was fine. Like,
yeah,
it was
Jet
not
Black
ideal.
On the second day was totally fine.
What second day?
Jet Black, that was the artist's name.
Oh, gotcha.
Cool name,
yeah, right. Yes, cool name.
Cool name.
Very cool. And yeah, it was fine. I was standing actually like not that far in front of him, just talking with people. So yeah, totally fine. Like a single artist or whatever with one of those stand-up speaker things, maybe got a loop pedal, and they're just providing ambiance, and people can tune in who want to tune in and hang out for a second or don't have somebody to talk to. But the whole band thing, the just giant amplification, it's just not it. And this is coming from somebody who hates playing. I hate playing bars. I haven't played that many of them, but it's the worst experience. Like, I would much rather you're playing for a crowd that doesn't care about you, and it's the worst. So you're just background music. Anyway, yeah, those are 2 good notes.
Good notes, right?
Good notes. Well, keep going.
Oh, what are other notes? I think badges should have people's profile pictures on them, or a picture of their choice.
Everybody's been saying that forever.
Yeah.
There's got to be a specific reason that they don't do that.
I'm sure it's just logistics, kind of a nightmare. You got to go through the file upload process. I mean, it turns what is a CSV mail merge of people's names into where do these files live? How do we get them to the printer? How's everyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That is unbelievably important. Unbelievably.
I know.
That is such a lever to pull.
I know.
There are people that I talked to that I'm sure it's the same for you. It's like, I know I either know your face or so there's there's the I know your face, but or I know your face and I'm looking at your name, but I can't place you because I'm not seeing your profile pic.
I'm not seeing your
even
avatar.
It's this like it's this pattern recognition. The only pattern recognition I have for you that's not matching, and I'm having this whole conversation and it's getting increasingly uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that stinks. And profile pictures would solve so much of that. Much of that. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
And then I didn't experience this, but as a man of the people, I understand the check-in line was just brutal. And so,
dude, half an hour brutality.
Yeah, I think check in the night before, like, if there's a main hotel where people are arriving, you could knock out 40, 50, 60% of the check-ins and get people their badges. And that gives them their swag bag to like put in the hotel room instead of carry around like a goofus.
Yep.
And then on the morning of, you get the people who weren't able to check in at, one of the given hotels. And I think that would speed everything up quite a bit.
Yep. Yeah, that would be big. Yeah, check-in was full of friction. I'm sure I know I have others. I just have none of them written down. But hotel proximity.
Oh,
I can't go back.
Can't go back. It was super ideal.
Has to be walk. It has to be less than a 10-minute walk.
Yeah. Can we talk about Deep Ellum? Perfect venue, besides a little bit of the heat, but perfect venue.
Yes and no. I know. It's perfect in every way except the roads, bro.
Oh,
what
yeah,
is
that
up
one's
with
on
these
us.
Freaking roads, man.
How awesome they are.
It is Road City. There are just giant roads everywhere.
Yeah, hell
it's like you have to cross a giant road everywhere you go.
And don't be short, because our trucks are tall. You'll get hit by a big truck.
True.
We can't see over the dash because the trucks are 6 feet tall.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal. So that Deep Ellum and the hotel and just imagine that whole experience, but with no giant road, like just not everywhere, It would be
Europe. It would be Europe.
It would be Europe. No, there's a lot of other places that are like that. Even like, New York is so much more walkable than that, to me. Anyway, because it's just like double, triple lane each side situations, just cutting through everything. So, and it ruins the vibe. It's like you're in a good vibe, and then all of a sudden you're like on a freeway.
I just got hit by a truck.
Running. Yeah. Like, I just got hit by a truck.
What the heck?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So that's my only. Yeah, honestly, the weather wasn't an issue, and this was the roads aren't that big of an issue, but they ruin the vibe, they ruin the commute. They make you want to take an Uber because you don't want to cross that road.
But the walkability was great.
So the walkability was great.
You could walk from the hotel to the venue, to the taco shop, to the After Dark, to Terry Black's barbecue. You could do it all.
Best.
It's great.
Best.
It was great.
Yes, and a perk of it is we felt like we were the only ones in town.
Yes.
That was nice.
And I think you and I talked about this. You don't get pulled away. You don't get pulled away 25 minutes to one thing, and then you can't be brought back to another hang. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, that's huge. Not having to get in an Uber to go to the After Dark, and then not having to get in an Uber to go to your hotel. So huge. There's just so many times where it's like, oh, where are you? Oh, I'm at the hotel. No problem. I'll walk over there. It's a 5-minute walk. If that, and it's like,
I'm at Electric Shuffle. You're at the Kimpton Pimpton. I'll just walk over.
Exactly. Yeah. Where's everybody at? Oh, we're at the Electric Shuffle. Great. I'll just walk over there. Even everywhere we went, even the speaker dinner. I mean, that was even closer, just the other direction. It's just like I walked to every one of those places. I didn't, and cost like as a cheapo. I remember last year at Laracon, I didn't even think about it. I'm just lifting everywhere. Then I get like, I look at this lift, like the receipts on my like monthly little report, and I'm like, damn, like
if you save it once, you earn it twice. That's what I'm saying.
Tell me more about that.
I'm not going to tell you more about that.
No, we're going to end that right there.
Oh no.
So yes, huge walkability, so huge. Honestly, that's the thing I care about most. It's like whatever it is next year, please just a nice hotel. It has to be nice.
Has to be nice. Come on.
You have 35. To feel. It has to feel premier.
Yeah.
It has to. And Kimpton, except for denying Adam Wathen his room and
sorry about that,
Adam. For those who don't know that this is an actual thing, which I didn't, Adam had a room, just showed up at midnight or whatever, and they were like, we gave away your room. So that can happen.
They work on airline rules. We'll sell 106% and hope that some people don't show up.
That, man.
Don't know.
That's crazy. I don't know the economics.
Here's the ultimate dad move to prevent that. If you're gonna check in super late, you call them at noon and you say, "Hey, I'm coming. I just won't be there until 10 p.m. But I just want to let you know I'm on my way." Yeah, that's a Uber dad move.
That's just being on top of things.
Yeah,
that's just being an experienced boy.
That's right. Which is dad. What more is a dad besides an experienced boy?
An experienced boy.
That's crazy.
A dad. Ooh, random. Can we shout out quote of the conference? Maybe one of them that it might have passed by if you didn't draw attention to it, but because Aaron watches all the talks, He's taking notes. He's got his bits ready for when he comes out on stage.
Mm.
Daniel Colborn.
Sheesh.
Oh, Daniel.
Wisdom.
Sweet Daniel.
Wisdom.
His
in passing.
In passing. Yep. Which he did tell me after, which we haven't even said the thing yet. He told me after that, like, you know, they were flashing him off stage.
Yeah.
So he had to blow through like the philosophical, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, I had the flashlight.
I know. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
had the button.
I got my shepherd's crook ready to pull him off.
Yes, you know. Yeah, trying to rush him off stage, so he had to rush some stuff and like just kind of say some things that he could have said he said profound things in passing that could have had a little more punch, but you helped him out with that. What happened doesn't change. What it means does. And that will stay with me. It is both right? It is so unbelievably perfect for his talk and life. I'm not sure I've witnessed a better tie-in than that.
That was tangential perfection. It
literally perfection.
Touched at one point in history, and that was the perfect point. And then ne'er the twain shall meet. Off they go.
Say no more, Daniel.
That was the crossover between verbs and deep philosophy. It was amazing.
Oh, it's one of those things that's so philosophically and just like it's one of those things that rings of like true in the sense that you just kind of feel it and you go, oh, but it rings in that deep truth that you go, oh, this could apply to both technology and life because it is so fundamentally true. You know, it's just one of those
things where you hear it and you're like,
you know,
oh, he just discovered an ever-existing truth and said it out loud. He didn't come up with that. That is a truth of the universe. It was great.
Like, I loved it. We could have been watching, that could have been said anywhere, almost about anything. You're watching National Geographic. And remember, what happens never changes. But what it means does. You know, or whatever. You could, and somebody could say that. And so, just real quick for the listener, in case you didn't see his talk. His talk's on event sourcing. Verbs is the tool that he built to do it. Yeah, it's not event sourring, but it is. But it's not
new event sourcing.
It's new event sourcing. We're trying not to say event sourcing. It's basically like don't whatever your users do is what matters. Store that. Then you can change what it means. Meaning like, you know, your database tables and columns, all that mutable state. You can change the form of that because that's what your interface reflects, which is ever changing. But it is cool to at least hear that, like, yes, everything is changing in apps, right? Like, isn't that you're optimizing for change? That's one of those evergreen programming wisdom big four things. Optimizing for change. Everything's about change. But there is something that doesn't change, and it is what your users did. You know? And that's really cool. And it's a cool way to think about it. Shout out to Decol.
Shout out to Decol.
Shout out to the Deke.
Just like 100% true in real life. The past never changes. Only your interpretation of it and what it means to you changes. And it changes often. And that is, crushed it. Good job.
Great.
Good job, Daniel.
Good job, Daniel. And well, whatever. His talk was the most entertaining thing in the world.
Yes.
He has a way of being so excited and lovable.
Yes. Shaggy dog.
Yeah, which isn't a quality you always see in person. And then not in the way that like he's a different person on stage. He is still that person, but right, like in person, he's much more discerning and whatever. He just, you know, whatever. Everybody knows his in person is what he was on the last time he was on the show, this last episode. But on stage, he has just this extreme energy and lovability that is cool to see. And it's like, there's more to Daniel even than what I know, you know?
So my wife watched, to her great credit, just a long-suffering saint. She watched
every talk.
She was feeding me.
She's a Francis.
Did you catch that part? She watched many bits of many talks, and she texted me at one point and said, "Did one of the speakers do their whole talk with sunglasses on his head?" And I think that was Daniel, and I was like, "Yeah, that guy's pretty chill." Like. Yeah. He's pretty laid back. He's pretty easygoing. And the fact that
somebody said, like, right backstage before he went on, somebody was like, "Oh, dude, your sunglasses on your head," and he was like, "Oh, yeah." And I think he said he was going to take them off.
I don't think he did.
So who knows? I was wondering if it was intentional.
Who knows?
I mean, I wear a backwards hat on stage.
Yeah,
like it's I could see doing that on purpose. Yeah. But go on.
And I know that John was just sitting in his seat white knuckling. John Rudolph was just watching white knuckling as Daniel's giving this talk, because it's like, no big deal, just the future of our business and our livelihoods on the line. And
Anti-Daniel is John.
Daniel's like, whoops, I accidentally dropped the migrations table. I wasn't supposed to do that here. I'm going to do it locally and then copy and paste as a SQL insert and then run it again. Just like that blew my mind. I thought, man, I knew that he had planned like one of the bugs, the fake bug or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was clearly not planned. And he was I think I know what I did here. Jeez, man.
It really just becomes, why people enjoy watching sports. It's just this constant like, oh, are they going to make it? Oh, yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
It was that. It's just like, oh, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? Please make it. Please make it.
Please make it. Please make it.
Oh, no, it got worse. It's worse. It literally got worse. It's not going to make it. There's no way it's going to make it.
Yeah.
He made it.
He puts the bobsled on his shoulder and carries it across the finish line. And he made it. I loved it.
Seriously, right? Amazing. Like, just the best.
So good. Good job,
nobody
Daniel.
Can just totally unravel on stage better than Daniel Goldborn.
Yeah, he's pretty good at that.
Because he doesn't unravel. Yeah, so.
Bravo, Daniel.
Bravo, Daniel. There's one other like subtle note that I thought you should type this up, but it's like, who do you tell this note to?
Tell it to me. I'll tell it to the people.
I don't remember.
Well,
who do you tell? Where do you put stuff? Is there comment cards or something?
I don't know, but I have an email drafted to Aspen, who is the production manager to the Stars, and Tara, who works with Aspen. They're the event team, because I know they're having a post Laracon meeting to talk about what went right, what went wrong, etc.
Yep. Yeah, that's really important. That's something that I felt like missed in previous years and with other conferences. It's like there's certain things that if you're an audience member, you see so clearly. If you're an organizer, you're completely blind to.
Totally.
And it's like so critical to hear those things. If you don't have a vector for that, it's so lost. Especially
number one comment.
Yeah.
Move the vendors out of the speaker room.
Oh, yeah. True. So true.
That was it. That's number one.
Although it did work after that. I agree.
Because the vendors sacrificed themselves upon the pyre of silence.
Yeah.
They just agreed not to talk to anyone during talks, which is very generous of them, but not like probably what they wanted.
Right. It'd be great if they were just down at that entrance floor and the doors were closed, Or
put them in the secret room where the talks are being live streamed.
So what do you think about, if I was a vendor?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in that secret room.
You wouldn't want to be in the secret room?
No way.
I think it would be fine, because
maybe it
we still have to, everybody still has to get their bingo stamps to win, a MacBook Pro or whatever.
Right.
And
true.
so everybody still needs to go visit the vendors. Vendors have elephants, vendors have giveaways, and
Do you know how many submissions there were for the bingo card?
I don't.
Because that would be telling. It's were there 100 people? Or were there 700
actually.
people?
That's a good question.
I'd say if there were above 500 people, then that is a smash hit.
Yeah.
And then you can put them anywhere, because they'll come to your booth,
Yeah. I do think that secret room, it would have worked just fine. I am hesitant to say put the vendors in an annex without knowing that the annex will be highly trafficked. I think that's the problem.
Yep. Yeah. It just feels like you have such a you want to be in the path of in and out, you just want
maybe
to be
we
in that
could
path.
do that,
especially for entrance. Imagine just on the conference day entering, crickets for vendors, if they were in the back there, crickets.
Unless all specialty coffee goes back where the vendors are as well.
There you go. Yes, you have to.
Two birds.
You need
with
a
scone.
mechanical. You need it built into the mechanism. It needs to be something that there's actual flow. Built in, and coffee is the way to do that. For sure.
Because then you get
lunch,
the bean
whatever.
grinders. You get the bean grinders out of the speaker room.
True.
Or out of the main venue. And you get the vendors out. And the coffee pulls them back towards the vendors. So
it's so tricky, because you also want the main stage well attended. But if the main stage is what you go through to get there, it's like
you do.
It's tricky, man.
It is.
It's tricky. Conferences are tricky. But
I wouldn't want to be the organizer. I just want to opine on things and then say good luck, have fun.
Way better.
I can't do all that work. Are you crazy? No, they I will say they adapted extremely quickly and extremely well to the whole vendors, like everybody talking situation.
Yep.
I was impressed by that.
If you weren't there, folks, it was brutal.
It was kind of loud.
I remember standing there watching somebody's talk and just feeling so bad for them. Like
feeling so bad.
This is
Philo's up there trying to talk,
so
and there's like
you.
a murmur, a roar of people talking.
Literally a roar.
Yes.
Like, oh, it would be so. It'd be like trying to give a talk with an echo in your own ear where you can barely think.
Yes.
Because you're just fixated on that. Like it just, I don't know.
And also you're a little bit embarrassed that like nobody is listening.
Right.
Yeah,
that really stinks. But it was policed, and
it was handled.
And it was handled. So
yep, I sicked Tom on him. You know, you don't want to go against Tom. You don't want to face Tom. I was like, hey Tom, you got to figure this out. And Tom figured it out.
Yeah, he's the guy to figure that out, huh? He's got that presence.
He does have that presence.
Tom.
Good guy, Tom.
Tom's new.
Tom's
one of those people who's like, a person to know, but is brand new, and and I just had no idea.
Yep.
Of like Tom, but like
he's also so low key.
Oh, he's like a guy to know, but he's just Tom.
What is it they say about lasagna? They say this about lasagna. Real G's move in silence. And that's Tom.
Well, I just
he's just a
know,
force moving through the crowd.
How what it is? It's like I didn't know how important he is to the Laravel team, and the Laravel company, and that's something that I like quickly realized the difference between people like me who aren't in the team at all.
Same.
And just like oh hey Tom, and oh hey Hank, and oh hey Rand. Yeah, it's just like oh hey, just like people, just other people to meet, but the people inside understand what's going on and who Tom is. So that that's cool. But seems like a great guy. Seems super.
I was accidentally on LinkedIn the other day, and I saw Tom. Tom's the president of Laravel.
There you go.
President and COO.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. Right.
See, 2 titles.
Literally the president.
One of which is president.
Exactly, and that's the vibe. Yes. To people not in Laravel, that is not knowledge. Oh, Tom and Hank and new other face and David, new faces at Laravel. Yeah. Good to see you. Hey,
good to see you. I'm Caleb. Have you heard of me? Do you know who I am? Have you met me?
Actually, he said he introduced himself at basketball. He just like wiped my the floor with my face, and he like leaned down
as he does.
And he like wiped the blood streak off and said, "Hey, Tom, nice to meet you." And he said, "It's like
nice to meet you, you loser."
Wiping blood out of my eyes. Right after he spit on me, I think to cool me down. I don't know. But he reached down, picked me up, and said, he's like, "Nice to meet you," whatever. And he's like, "I'm excited for your talk," or something. And I was like, "Oh, what do you?" Yeah, it's like, "Okay, like cool, yeah, thanks." And he's like, "Yeah,
just another fan.
You do a great, right?" He's like, "You do a great job," or something like that. And then I was like, "Huh?" I said, "You've seen my talks, And he's like, "I watched everyone," or something like that. I don't know if everyone, but oh
he's
yeah,
a real G,
part of the job.
Yep.
And I was like, oh yeah, you're a total outsider. Now you're like a big man, and he's, he did the work of like, let's know even more than the product. Let's know the community and what's going on outside there. So another one of those.
Nothing speaks to my heart more than
DUTY.
When someone says part of the job, just doing my job, a man of duty and honor.
That's right.
We love that.
Part of the job.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So yeah, things are, but there's a video that's coming out soon, right?
There's an interview with yours truly, which is like folksy way of saying me. There's an interview with me and Taylor coming out soon.
You and Taylor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Taylor. No Tom.
When does that come out?
I think that comes out, today's September 2nd. I think that comes out maybe Thursday. I think it's September 5th or something like that.
Okay.
So I'll give you a little behind the scenes. I won't tell you what the content is, but Taylor rolled over to Dallas. Steve flew down to Dallas. And we did this video, and we set up in the apartment. There's like a gathering space in the apartment where I studio, and we kind of just blocked it off. It just pretended it was ours.
Really? You didn't have to ask or anything? You just like
No, I'm
Cool.
friendly with the manager, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, here's the deal." He's like, "That's fine. Just put up a sign or
Nice.
something." It's great.
Yeah.
It's the middle of like a Tuesday or whatever.
Sure.
And Taylor finally gets there, and I like walk out of the apartment, like the building, to go find him because apartments are just a Byzantine. You can't find anything. And
Yeah.
I see him walking down the street. And he's got his laptop and a 12-pack of Coke Zero under his arm.
Come on.
He brought his own 12
That's great.
pack.
That's great.
I was like, dude, you brought your own 12 pack? He's like, yeah, I didn't know how long we would be.
Oh my God. That's hilarious.
I know. It's so funny.
Yeah,
so that comes out soon. It's great. It's fun. It's my first sit down 2-person live interview type thing.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Looking forward to it. Yep. Leaving it at that, Aaron.
Let's leave it at that. Yep.
Leaving it at that. Yeah. So that's Laracon, Aaron.
That's Laracon. Do you want to talk? You want to talk about your talk and what you're thinking
we should
currently?
mention it.
We should. Yeah.
The Flux Situation. Fortunately, it's times like these that having a podcast is a really great thing for me. It reminds me that people listen to it, and it's actually a way to get like really good feedback. So that's been pretty awesome. But yeah, okay. So here's the gist. Caleb goes off and thinks he's making the coolest thing in the world for months and months and months. Every other day, I feel like I'm either discovering something cool or innovating in some cool way that I'm just foaming at the mouth to share with people. Yep. And I go, no, save it. Save it. Make a splash, put it out there, whatever.
We love
make a splash, So toiling away in obscurity for many, many, many months. And giving a talk on it, prepping the talk pretty hardcore, put a ton into that talk, give the talk and feel like I smashed it, It's just like, this is what I wanted to do. I got the applauses at the times I wanted the applauses, and people were pumped about it. I knew that I was charging for something that I, like, at many points I thought was going to be free, and I'd forgotten that was like an expectation shift.
Sure.
I'd just forgotten that because you make a decision, you move on, and you think everybody understands the decision you made, whatever. So launched the thing, really pumped about it, and then there's just like little things from people like, so how do you feel about the reception, or how do things like that, or like, are you happy about? And it's like, well, you asked me, are you happy?
Waters.
Yeah, instead of saying like, dude, you smashed it, so sick, so pumped, Flux is nuts. It was a lot of like, yeah, how do you feel about that, or like, how do you feel? And I should have taken. I guess I knew some amount was up because I heard somebody or a few people told me like, yeah, there was some shit in the comments. Can I say that on the show? I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
Is it? It's not folksy enough.
No, you can say that.
Okay. And yeah, so people were like, you're getting some shit in the comments about pricing, whatever. And at this moment, I'm like, I just displayed the value. I think I did it well enough, and people are pumped about it. Of course, people want something to be free.
Of course,
it's not free. And like, yeah, like it's the Livewire keynote and it's a paid thing. How many keynotes have you seen that have been a paid thing? Like it does not mean a keynote does not mean it can't be a paid thing. I watched Nova drop. I watched Spark drop. I watched all those things drop, and they're paid, and we all clap and was like, this is great. And we all bought it. And it's like, whatever, sometimes it's free, sometimes it's paid. Thought no problem. And the next day I woke up and I start looking at some of these comments and it's like, oh, and then it starts to sink in. And so Taylor shouts me out in a tweet and goes, Flux is super impressive. Here's a link to the pre-order. And just heaps of people. What is impressive about this? There's 9 components, heaps and heaps. And they, whatever. I impulse put a pre-order page up the day before.
The day before.
So the day before, during the conference, Logan Kraft came up to me and was like, you would be silly to not have a pre-order. Good guy. He's the best guy. I love Logan.
I love Logan. Good job, Logan. This is your fault, but good job, Logan.
It's your fault, right? Yeah. Logan, you ruined me. Oh, so like, he tells me this and I'm like, Logan, you're totally right. I need to have a pre-order. I'm leaving, money on the table. He's like, put something in people's hands that they can do something with after they're really excited. And I'm like, you're totally
killer
right.
Instinct. He was right.
Yeah. So I find one of those one-off speaker rooms and I call Hugo. I'm like, Hugo, can you take a call right now? I call Hugo and I'm like, here's the deal. Like we need to have a pre-order page. Like we strategize a little bit. And then I just start cranking on my laptop. I rip out everything on the site except for the landing page. And then we make this pre-order page. I rip out parts of the code that like issue licenses and everything, and just get it
Mm-hmm.
stripped down, test it a few times. Okay, good. And then put it public the night before, and people started buying it. There was like $1,000 in
Wow.
sales the night before. Just, I didn't even know
That's
people had the
boss.
URL.
Yeah.
And so like $1,000 in sales comes in overnight. I'm feeling really good about this. It's like, this is
Sure.
great. Then we need to talk about this. This is a complaint of Laracon.
Don't wag your finger at me. I didn't
This
do
is
this.
your
Whatever's
fault.
Whatever's about
This
to
is
happen
your
is
fault.
not my
The
fault.
finger came out and it pointed at you.
Seriously.
So the I did the talk, people loved it.
Yep.
But then talk's gone.
Talk's
so Taylor
gone.
tweets out the link, being
Talk's
a bro.
gone. Yep. Good guy, Taylor.
People just see this link, they go to the site, it's a temporary pre-order page, and they're royally pissed, and now they're smearing me all over Twitter and Reddit.
And
just
Reddit.
A total smear campaign. Just gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
And so I emergency recorded a video the next morning from the hotel. Trashed the first one where I'm like, you all suck.
Right.
Then recorded the one where it's like, I barely am even paying attention to you guys being the worst,
Are people talking about me? I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
led,
okay,
I'm led to believe there's some clarification that's needed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, then record that. And since that has been that's the only thing out there that demonstrates Flux.
Right. So your beef with Laracon is that they took your talk down?
It's that I was going to record my talk the day before to have ready and email out. But I'm so busy, and I'm like, they said they're going to stream it. It's like, oh, it's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
So why would I do that?
Yeah.
So I'll just tweet. I'll just email out the link to my talk.
Sure.
And then it'll be there. And then it's perfect, right?
Perfect.
No. It streamed live, and then it was out of
And then
there.
it was oopsie doopsie because all the walk-in music got copyright stricken.
And here's my beef, Aaron Francis.
Tell me.
We knew that the day before.
Oh yeah.
What? Who? Why did this happen? Like, if we knew that save the 10 seconds of Blink-182. No one needs it.
I need it.
No one needs it.
That's a good question. I don't know. Here's my
it's
outsiders.
Your fault.
Yeah, it's Logan's fault, honestly.
Logan's fault.
Here's my outsider's point of view.
Everyone's but mine fault.
That is a healthy way to approach life. I think it was probably the live stream was a bonus. It was never promised. It was never guaranteed. And we just Taylor was just like, hey, by the way, we're doing it. So if it gets stricken, whatever. It was a bonus. It was a bonus to start with. That's my guess.
Okay. And I wouldn't care. Nobody would really care much. It wouldn't be an expectation that people would have per se, and they wouldn't care much unless there was a smear campaign against them on Twitter.
Yeah, so it's kind of a niche use case, honestly.
It's a niche thing, yeah. But whatever. Okay, so that's my very specific beef with Laracon.
I'll make sure to definitely pass that one on.
The copyright. I do wonder if other people would care. Is this a thing that nobody else would care?
I don't think anyone else would care because in past experience, the Laracon US talks get turned around in like less than a week.
Right. Yeah.
I would be shocked if those talks aren't out this week. And I think for most people's use cases, that's fast enough. I think anyone that was watching anyone that was watching live that then got cut off because of copyright, they're probably frustrated. But I would imagine,
which I think Taylor is among them.
I think Taylor's got cut off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would imagine people are okay with the turnaround time. That's just a guess.
Okay. Yep. So anyway, that's the story, and then that's the only thing that's been out on the internet since my tweet, and it's been good now because I literally some people apologized, some trolls apologized.
Whoa, that's
like
awesome.
An actual troll who just writes on the tweet like, I think I was definitely too harsh. Like, this looks awesome. You obviously put a lot more work into this than I thought. There's way more components than I thought. There's 24 component pages. It's not even the amount of components. It's like there's so much there. It's missing like a date picker, which a lot of them don't even have a date picker, but it's got pretty much everything else. And so anyway, literally apologized. And I'm like,
that rules.
Exactly. And my reply to him was very like, you are forgiven, dude. Like, thank whatever. Then I look at his profile. Oh no. I'm like, well, let's just see what you did say. And I'm like, dude, hate your guts forever. Never forgive it. Like, you're the worst. You have the worst instincts. You're such a bad person that something like this happens and you make it your So I blocked 2 people. We
Nice.
should
We
talk about
love a
blocking.
block.
Do
Oh,
we?
gotta block. Got
So
to
who was I just
block.
listening to? Oh, Levels. So he doesn't block anybody.
Yeah.
He's muted like 50,000 people. I think that's what he said on
He
live.
actually has started blocking for AI generated replies. I saw that recently. So if you use
Okay.
one of those tools to like engagement farm,
Yeah.
he'll block you.
Okay. Yeah. So it was like, this is when I knew something was wrong because I'm getting Twitter notifications during the conference. I look at my phone and I just see somebody being an absolute jerk. Okay, whatever. People do that sometimes. I'm
Sure.
used to it. Move on. That person is following me around and commenting everywhere that anybody
Yeah.
is saying something good.
Not great.
Smearing, like really bad personal type, whatever. Not just like Flux sucks, but like Caleb sucks,
Don't like that.
And so immediately I'm like, self-preservation, block, whatever. I'm never going to, yes. And then I'm getting more notifications. Oh, they're commenting on the block. They're even more mad because their troll friend under the bridge got blocked. And they're mad at me and they're smearing me for blocking. And it's like somehow a bad reflection on me even more so. Block.
You don't
like,
owe anyone. You don't owe anyone anything on Twitter, especially not mental health. You don't owe them that.
Yeah. So those are the only people I've blocked in my life. Is the people in that span of 5 minutes that I just saw being the worst and whatever. So yeah. Anyway,
hope y'all are listening. Yeah.
But so many people. There was a time where I thought this pre-order was a massive mistake. Logan, you ruined my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say at this point, I think it's a benefit. Like,
okay, tell me.
I think we'll see. Just because it's so hard to estimate these things because all you see is this very thin surface. But just so many people have been like so nice to me about this problem, like both in DMs, publicly, on replies on that tweet. Just so many people checking in, like literally today, tons of messages of people just being like, "Hey, like whatever," and yeah. So it at least makes me feel better than I would have even felt if I never did a pre-order. So
sure,
I don't know. What do you think?
I follow much of the same journey because I was watching you side stage and I thought this is going great. This totally rules. And then you got off stage and you got the big applause line and everything. And then I thought, oh, it's going to make a ton of money. Everybody loves it. This went great.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was bad blood until much, much later. Cause like, I'm busy, right? You and I are both busy doing conference stuff.
Yeah, barely looking at my phone.
Yeah, then I start to see some of it come up, and I start to hear like, "Oh man, did you see what they're saying about Flux?" I start to hear that, and I'm like, "No, what's going on?" And then I felt sad. I was like, "Guys, $99, I understand, is not the same to everyone, but this is a huge amount of work, but also it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter how much work you put in. It's how much value I get out of it. And it's more than $99. And so
the tough part is people think so many of these UI component libraries are the same.
They do.
They're not the same.
It's a very tough space to be in.
Like
you chose to play on hard mode here.
Yeah. And it's like to do a UI component library of quality, the way that Tailwind does and whatever. To do some, and like I would say Shoelace similarly is like those are the two that come to mind that I go, you guys put in all the work.
Yep.
You did it right. People who use your stuff, they're better off. Most of the other ones I look at and I go, this is a hodgepodge cobble mess.
Right.
And I would never want to use this in my applications personally.
Yep.
And I wanted to make something that was of that level. And then once you crack that box open, you realize that just a badge component with no JavaScript functionality, just the API decisions, the design decisions, all of those things, just those things alone can be weeks. I don't know. Maybe that's an overestimation for a badge, but a long time. Like it's not simple. And no, but you don't know that. So of course it's like work in versus like value out. It's like, well, how much value is somebody getting from this badge? There's a lot of value they don't understand they're getting. But whatever. It's the things like building your own combo box that like if you've done that. So Jeff Sagglebot, View Select.
Yeah.
I talked to him a bunch at the conference and he's like, he's one of few people who get it. Adam gets it. People who've built a combo box get it. it's almost the hardest thing you can do. Like,
Yep.
and they just know, like, Jeff's whole like career or open source life is just that problem
combo
space
box.
alone.
Yes.
The combo box. That
I know.
thing alone. There's a Command K or whatever, you know, and React. Like, these projects, their entire existence and all of that maintenance effort goes towards a combo box. You know, it's so difficult. And dropping it, and then people just dropping a handwritten combo box that works super well and is super flexible and is super composable and is like my magnum opus, and people just being like, oh, another UI component library, but we have to pay for this. You know, it's just, that's a huge disconnect that I hope I can resolve over time. I have to make up for that. If I can't, then whatever. It's just a bad product space. It's a bad space because the value that you perceive, and I get it. Like, the browser should just have this. Like, this doesn't feel like you should have to go out on a limb for this thing. But whatever. So I'm just back to like, I have enough good vibes that it's just stoic mode. It's like, I freaking love this thing, and I believe that you will too. And if you don't yet, you will over time, if you use it, and that will be what it is. And if it doesn't smash or whatever, it's like, I know that it is better than the alternatives, and I will love it and use it, and that's good enough for me. But I think people love it. So
I think people will love it. I think one of your challenges is going to be competing on. So it is a very tough space, very, very tough.
And it's less tough in Livewire.
It is less tough in Livewire, and you already have massive distribution, and so you have you have two things going for you.
Yes,
I think
I could not charge for this in React. You know,
no, not even a little bit. I think competing on technically better is always hard. Yeah, because people don't appreciate technically better.
Yep.
And so that'll be interesting to see play out.
The only
ease of use is a great one. Developer experience is a great one. But like, no, I promise this is technically better. That's always super tough to like make people care about.
The only thing that is a tangible hedge for you is that eventually that word gets out that a thing is buggy, bloated, whatever. That's where you win. But it's not always a guarantee. And it's not always a guarantee how much that helps you. But it is really helpful that, like, when your competition is not as considered and not as clean and whatever, people use it and they love it at first because it's so easy to use and it's free and whatever. But then they start to resent it, and then it turns into, I mean, look at Bootstrap even. Like, Bootstrap is not a great example because it's actually well built, but like, something can totally dominate in an obvious way. But then when enough people, or maybe WordPress is a better example. It's
maybe
like,
Next.js is a better example.
Maybe. I don't know about Next current state to know, but React even, just the complexity and things involved in that.
It can dominate, and then it gets a little bit too complex, and then the vibe shifts, and that absolutely happens.
Right. It's a long play. It's at least a protection against vibe shift. If you stay lean, if you stay clean, and you stay high quality, you're hoping that eventually people realize that the alternatives are bloated and messy and whatever.
This is the opposite of what those examples we just gave is probably Tailwind. People looked at it at first and were like, "Oh, what a mess! I can't believe." And Adam's like, "No, I promise, this is actually better." And because it was actually better, stick with it long enough, and it becomes de facto because everybody's like, "Y'all, it is actually better. You just need to use it."
Yep. Yeah. No, that's a good example of that happening where it's like being technically better but harder initially. But yeah, they obviously, imagine Tailwind's success with poor design or top tier design, non-existent, right?
Non-existent.
So much of it is the design, because when you type Shadow SM at the time, you got a shadow that you didn't get in other libraries. It looked clean. It's a layered shadow, colored, that like off gray, like a little bit of blue in their grays. Those were huge innovations. It's like, oh, I'm using this thing now, and I am just crapping out like pretty things. These rounded, all these things are pretty, and that is something that like is massive for Tailwind. And so that's with Flux. Similarly, it's like that was a hard moment at first that I realized, like, I have to compete on design, because that's something that, like, I can obviously compete on development easily because that's what I do, but it's hard for me to compete on design because I'm not a designer. Obviously, we all suck at design,
Mm-hmm.
TM, Caleb, I have
That's
one now.
good. Oh, you've got one now. That's great.
I have IP.
You have IP.
And
That's good hygiene.
so anyway, working with Hugo and whatever, and just experiencing that, it's like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like now I'm at that level. My product is at that level that is like premier, and that's awesome.
Can we just talk about Hugo? Isn't Hugo the best?
Hugo's the best. Yeah,
Hugo's
Hugo.
the best. I know
Aaron
Hugo.
knows Hugo.
Hugo designed AaronFrancis.com. Hugo's the best. I used to work with Hugo at Tuple.
Yes, Hugo is the best. Through and through. He's awesome. He works harder than anybody I've worked with, I think.
I think that's correct.
He's one of those workers where you go, everyone else is a waste of money.
Yep. I think that is correct.
He makes everybody else a waste of money. You go, what you see, what is possible if somebody takes your money and converts it into just high quality output. You go,
did he do any of the code for you? Because when he did my site, he did almost all the Tailwind.
Right, he's a programmer. He did zero of it until that pre-order page.
Until you called him and you're like, until the Sunday I was leaving for Laracon. But wake up.
Yeah, so I did all the code because I think it's so important for me to be crazy, and I need to have written it all to understand.
I didn't know if he did any of like the landing page stuff.
So I implemented all that, but then yes, at the last minute on Sunday, we had a call. I threw him on Laravel Herd, and in 5 minutes had him up and running in Laravel, and he started pull requesting. So he pull requested some cleanup stuff. He made the landing page animate. He did the like Aurora Borealis like animation in the background, the stars. So now he's in the code base and can. Oh, and I even was in that video that I recorded, just showing people the docs. I opened the installation page, and I just saw it change. Like there's like design in it. It's not just copy anymore. It was like, oh, Hugo did that too. Like, because that's who he is. It's just high quality and attention to detail on a level that I'm not used to. And it's a massive inspiration to me. And it, just to meet him at that level and be like, we're going to actually really care about every pixel on every page in every light and dark mode, and way more than pixels, behavior and everything, design systems and UI and everything. It's like a pleasure working with Hugo.
Good job, Hugo. Well done.
Here's the thing, Aaron. I want this to be free more than anything, and you can flash me off of this show whenever, but I want this to be free so bad. It sucks so bad that it is not free. That's the worst part. Is like, if this was free, it would be huge for Livewire. Huge. Yeah. It would be huge for everybody in the community. It would be I feel like I am doing a massive disservice to the world by charging for this.
I know.
I hate it so much.
I know. Is there what did Business Dad? What did Ian say?
I had a good long talk with Ian this morning.
Yeah.
Tons of chat back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I woke up to that essay that you saw on Twitter, that you saw on D's, and then we just started chatting back and forth. But he's pushing me towards lifetime.
Okay.
He gave me some words like, he's like, this has to be a no-brainer buy.
Okay.
And he's pushing against subscription, or even something subscription-esque, like pay for a year, get updates, for a smaller amount every year. It's never going to be a subscription in the sense that you lose access. It's like you have access to that version of Flux forever, But I guess the listeners not totally following this, I've been toying with a Nova-esque, Statamic-esque, like pay and then pay for updates every year, But he's saying it's got to be no-brainer. Lifetime is what's up, But similarly, whatever. I'm just fundamentally, I wish it could be free so bad. Everybody does. It would be better for everybody if it was free.
You would have much. It would go much broader, and it would be much faster if it was free and open source.
Is there any world where it's free and open source?
Yeah, of course, but I don't know.
And I don't know where you make profitable, the money. And it's like a healthy. Like this to me is the hope of a healthy future business. Without this, if this was free, at least where I'm at right now, it feels like that bubble gets popped, and as you know,
you're out there shaking the tin, like, sponsor me for $5 a month. And it's like,
I'm not doing that.
Clearly that has worked, but it's like, is that what you want the rest of your business to be?
Take it a given that I want my business to grow and be a profitable, healthy business that supports my family and my life until I retire. Like put that as a given. How is this free? there's a
I
SaaS
don't
there's
know.
that this is feeding into, it's like,
No,
or
there's no SaaS.
I mean, there could be, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's,
yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, the purest thing is to give people something and they give you money. So like, I don't begrudge the model at all, but which is to say, like, I don't think you should make it free and then get sponsors. That's just that's just a losing proposition. But I don't know what the alternative thing to sell is. Like, you've had great success with screencasts, but it's like, I don't know that moves the needle. I mean, maybe people would watch Flux screencasts and pay for it and stuff, but
yeah, I mean,
I
it
don't know
could
if you
juice
have
right.
enough.
There's like content around Flux that as Flux like grows, like would become more
Yeah.
profitable. Yeah, that would be nice. But yeah, I think I'm entertaining this just for fun, but
Sure.
like obviously it's on a path, and I just keep telling myself that like it's going to be so good and I'm going to make it so much better that it will be like, why wouldn't you buy this thing? I got to just bank on that. But you're going to lose the mass of people who just aren't going to pay for stuff like this,
I know. And I think Ian's point is probably like, those aren't your customers. Don't worry about them. Think about them never again.
Yeah, and that's what he's pushing me towards lifetime. He's like, just a lot of people with like that are in financially hard positions or are unsure about their future, at a company or for a project. It's like, if there's a subscription, then they're going to go, nah, I'll look elsewhere. But the one thing that Ian underestimates is the uniqueness of this in the liveware space.
Yeah, that is not to be forgotten about.
It's like, if we're talking, Flux versus Shad CN, yeah, that's one thing. What we're talking about is something like, as a liveware user, you can have a like deeply integrated first party thing that like is designed
with
extremely well
attributes.
and with durable attributes, right? You're never gonna have to slap a wire ignore on something.
Right.
You're never gonna have to fiddle. It's just gonna work, and it's going to make your experience, the only part of your liveware experience that sucks, it's going to remove that part,
Right.
So I think that is a huge thing, and it like is going to be a good business no matter what. It's just, my heart breaks that it's not like going to be the thing that whatever. It could be like the most valuable IP in the Laravel space in my mind. I mean, that could be like a really grossly whatever. To me, it could be the most valuable project to own and to have from the standpoint of user adoption and user satisfaction and love and attraction and all those things. People will fall in love with me and be attracted to me because of it.
Which is all that matters. And
I'm turning that into, instead, I'm getting money and making it something that is valued and used, but not the thing to rule all the things.
Do you want to be rich or do you want to be king? That's the question.
Right. Yes. And it's I want
yeah.
So.
Same. Here's a question for you. Alpine Components exists, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the state and status and future of that? Because that's not a project that I've been following terribly closely.
Right. So Flux is gonna especially if Flux was open and free, Alpine Components would be shot in the face. So that's another thing that's like, oh, not only would I not make more money, I would lose money. I would have to refund everybody's pre-order. Like this, it's never happening.
You're gonna lose it twice instead of save it once.
Totally. But yeah. So what is happening with Alpine Components is like, it works the way it works right now. I want to get there's some experimental stuff in there that's still in beta but doesn't need to be. So I'm going to tag that just so that it's like doesn't feel beta-y. But right now it's just going to be what it is until like what's really valuable to me is that this is in the wild for 6 months and becomes bulletproof. Like
this being Flux, right?
Yeah, like once a project like Flux that's like really ambitious and has a lot of JavaScript and interactions and stuff, once it becomes bulletproof, then that core becomes incredibly valuable. And then it's like, okay, I could do things with this core outside of Flux, and that's where it's like, maybe Alpine Components, people just get, I mean, I could even do this now where like make kind of a stripped down version of Flux that's just more like copy paste, for Rails and such. Like I've thought about that. A lot of Rails people have reached out and are like, dude, we need that core for Rails. Like, how do we get that? And maybe Alpine Components is the way to do that, is like, yeah, I could see that.
But philosophically, what's the difference between Alpine UI components and Flux? Is it just the use of Alpine?
No, I mean Flux uses Alpine for some things inside of it. No, it's like Alpine Components is like I said, it's copy and paste. It's Tailwind UI. It's copy and pastable HTML with behavior that you can do what you will inside of your Rails app, your Django app, your Elixir app, whatever. And it's like very helpful for people. It's like I showed, building a drop down that actually has all the right things is not easy. So with Alpine Components, you can copy and paste that big drop down and then componentize it however you want. Flux is a design system. It's a component. It's so much more. It is so much more than that. It's a composable blade component UI design system for your application. It's like you have, it's the path. It's everything. Alpine Components is just the components in a way that you have to do all that stuff,
Okay, so that makes sense.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And I'm looking at the landing page for Alpine Components, and it is $129 lifetime pricing. And so you have a little bit of experiment here. How would it feel if you made Flux the same kind of model as Alpine? Because you've done that before.
I hate the prospect of lifetime because, and this is the biggest reason, is that I only paid Adam Wathen one time. I was paying him for stuff. I paid him for TDD course.
Yep.
I paid him for refactoring to collections,
Yeah.
Right? Then
advanced
TDD,
view components.
Advanced view components. I paid him for refactoring UI, obviously. Yep. And then I paid him for Tailwind UI. And after Tailwind UI, I haven't paid him a dime. And that was like 5 or 6 years ago. So I was paying Adam regularly for stuff that he was producing that's awesome and high quality and it benefits my life and adds value. And then I stopped paying Adam. And I just think about that. That's like...
He doesn't love that either, by the way. As much as you don't like it, he doesn't like it even more.
Exactly. And I just don't want... And so Ian would say, if he were here, I think, he would say, yeah, but okay, the alternate universe where Tailwind UI is a subscription, maybe you subscribe because you're his friend.
Yep.
How many other people went, and that was a barrier to them, where it's like, I could just pay once and have it forever, done, no brainer, bought it. Yep. How many people, right? So like, what in the alternate universe where Tailwind UI, because a lot of people have said that to me, it's like, do what Tailwind UI does, it works. And I kind of did that with Alpine Components. It's an easy model, but it solely depends on people coming in. You get nothing from all the people who have benefited for years. And in a world where, the inroads, where there's a block in the road, where some competition comes out and whatever, and you're not bringing in as many, whatever force of nature there is, where the paths into your thing, whatever the marketing, inbound stuff, when that stuff dwindles, your funnel stuff, then that is what, it just changes your business like an immediate thing. There's no lag,
Right.
And I hate that because it's so much nicer to have. I've experienced this with GitHub sponsors with a ton of subscriptions. There's a giant buffer there. And if everybody decides to just peace out, you have like a good long tail, of just like, all right, I see that this is declining. I'll vamp back up, we'll do that. But the alternate argument, the Ian argument is like, yes, that's better. But how much more would you have made total if it was lifetime one-off, no-brainer for people, Dealing with these things, open to opinions. So now that's a whole new thing after talking with Ian is like, oh, now I'm back to considering lifetime,
Yeah.
Because he's convincing me.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a lot of the complaints were like the per project pricing.
I think that's just not going to happen.
Per project.
Like it's right where it's at right now is like it would be a solo dev price, unlimited projects, per seat. So if you're a company with 10 people, you'd pay more, but you'd get 10 seats. So, yeah.
That seems a little more friendly. I don't think one is right or wrong, but that seems a little more solo dev friendly.
Per project just sucks as a solo dev. Like it seems like the reason I was doing it was because I'd be capturing more value for like agencies and stuff. But it's like, I honestly think they're the minority of customers for me. Could be wrong. I think that's the minority of customers for me. And as a solo dev, I'm just not going to use something that I have to pay for every time. Like, I don't think I would. It would limit the amount of people. Where if it's unlimited now, it's like you get in the door and now you use this thing on everything. So the original plan was monetize templates and maybe a few components. Yeah. That's where we were at like a month ago, maybe 2 months.
Why do we hate that?
Yeah, that's good, but I don't know I think I'll do much better financially this way.
You will.
And the problem with that is you need to have new content coming out all the time. So now I'm on it where this is like, I can just focus on the product and making it good, and then I make money. That is like, I know what that's like. You're stepping on a treadmill and you're doing it in an area where screencasting, I'm on that treadmill, whatever. It's not great, but I can do it.
Right.
Design templates, I can't do that. So
That's
now I have to like make sure that Hugo's on for that, or somebody else is on for that, and make sure that ball stays in the air, you know? So I don't know. But I love that idea.
That's tough. That would be fun.
Yeah.
And it would be nice because then you can make the components free, but I think you would make less money and it'd be more work, which is strike two.
Can I have that option to transition to it at some point? Like if I charge people for this and then a year later decide like we're only going to make certain portions of this paid and the rest can be free. Like it's fine, right?
It's
like
fine.
You got what you paid for initially.
You got what you paid for.
There's no guarantees, whatever. It's like you got what you paid for. You still get what you paid for.
Yep.
I'm just trying something new.
If you're mad, you can have a refund and I'll never speak to you again. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I think,
I'll block you and your family.
Yes, exactly. I can have a refund, but you're on my bad list. So which one do you want? Yeah.
Right.
I think you totally preserve that optionality. That seems totally fine to me.
Yeah, as long as I can preserve that. Kind of the tricky thing is going with this private packages thing. You know, we have an auth.json.
Yeah.
I want to know, maybe you could tell me, what types of things am I locking myself in for? Like, for example, can I do this setup where to use Flux right now, you do, whatever, I put in a nice command.
Sure.
It adds some credentials to an auth.json, and now it's like, it feels like public, but it's a private packages repo.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
If I decide at some point, I want to make 8 of these free and open source, like, is that hard? Can I take the repo, put it on GitHub, make it a public thing now? And then will everybody's auth.json and composer.json like setup, will it just be like, oh, this is public now, so it's fine? Or maybe what I should do is put this in a Flux Pro repo so that I preserve the potential for the like just Flux namespace, I don't
know how you would go. I don't know how you would have one pro package that you maybe with Unlock, with Philo's thing, you can just have different tiers. Like you might be able on Unlock to serve 2 separate like packages from the same URL based on the license that they're assigned.
Any stack, by the way. No.
Any stack. Oh shoot, you're right. Any stack. Very good product. Yeah, that would be interesting. So like if their key hits the licensed server and it's not a free key but a paid key, they get .pro or whatever. That might be doable. I don't know.
Yeah. It's like I just want to if I can make a decision right now that's like a haircut and not a tattoo. Like that's the decision I want to make. And so there's all these things. Like, is it better to go from lifetime to subscription or subscription to lifetime if one of them doesn't work out, just optionality wise, which is better?
Oh man, is it better to go from subscription to lifetime or lifetime to subscription? Depends. You wouldn't be able to get the lifetime people to subscribe, in my opinion, because I think you made them a promise that they bought lifetime.
Oh, if they got well, yeah. So this is another thing. But yes, agreed. I wouldn't be trying.
So those people would be lost. You'd be hosed.
Okay. Right.
But if you went subscription to lifetime, there's a chance you could get the people who were subscribing, you could get them to pay for the lifetime and be done with it.
Right. Yeah. Dude, it's tricky because if the subscription people, if they subscribe for like 3 years and then you put out a lifetime that's like maybe even less than the sum of money they gave to me,
there'd have to be some sort of consideration given for that.
But maybe not. I subscribed to Laracast for years and then I bought a lifetime.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being too precious. Maybe I just need to be more like of a robber baron and just say,
because I mean, really just
deal.
I think part of it is like looking at your own experience and examples and how you feel about those things. Mm-hmm. And at least for me, with Laracast, it's like I didn't expect him to calculate how much money I gave him and then prorate me.
Right.
It's like a hunting license. Like I always dealt with this with hunting licenses. It's like I didn't have the money to get the lifetime one when I was young. Mm-hmm. And then every year that I didn't get it, it just became like less valuable.
Mm-hmm.
But then I made enough that I was like, you know what, screw it, whatever. It's just easier. I'm just going to buy
Same with Six Flags season passes, You go to Six Flags a bunch, and you're like, God, I should have bought the season pass.
I should have bought the season pass.
You don't get credit for it.
You don't get credit for that.
You don't get credit for it.
Boom, out. So subscription to lifetime. If somebody wants to change from subscribe to lifetime, then maybe I have some machinery that gives them a discount, but it's not like, I'm not going to pay you back.
No.
Sorry. Right. But then lifetime to subscription. So if you do lifetime for, $300, okay?
Yep.
You're in for life.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm not going to say this thing's subscription now. That lifetime, that wasn't actually for life.
That feels black and white.
That's totally black and white.
Yeah.
But so I was talking with Ian a little bit. Is like, we should
have him on the show sometime.
We should have Ian on the show. Friend of the show, Ian.
Friend of the show, Ian Landsman.
Yeah, phone him in. So what Ian was telling me is like, because is there a way to not say goodbye to revenue forever from a loyal customer?
Right.
And he's like, well, like data tables, charts, like file picker, like file upload picker thingy, and like big ticket items.
Mm-hmm.
Those could be a Flux Pro, and you could wrangle some messaging. Like I feel like I would have to do some amount of messaging on the page right now that's like lifetime basic pro coming soon or something. It's like that's a way, because the reality is if Adam launched some add-on thing and charged for it, I would pay him. I wouldn't be like, you said lifetime. You'd be like, well, no, I said that about that. Like, you got what you wanted.
Right. Yes. Agreed.
Right?
So is the question Flux and a Flux Pro and both are paid? Or is Flux Basic free?
Not for now, but maybe eventually. Maybe that's the move, is like, maybe it's like, do this for a few years or whatever, just and like make it a good solid product that's like well funded. And then maybe like build up these big things, do a second big launch, make that Flux Pro, make all this free. But then it's still the same problem of like, if you paid me lifetime for Flux Basic.
Yeah.
Now we're at
Flux you're grandfathered Pro. Into Flux Pro because now there's only one paid tier and you paid. I will say, just like gut instinct, if there's enough there to do a Flux Basic, Flux Pro, that feels nice to me. That feels like you get to be rich and king if you can, if you can pull it off where the Flux Basic is, I don't know, 15 components that everybody needs and uses on everything. You get like the community momentum, you get the buzz, you get everything. And then
making that free,
and then any like other components putting in Flux Pro, I think that feels nice. I think it's a question of, is there a compelling enough split to get people to pay? That's the question.
Yeah. But making that split right now,
I don't think you should do it right now.
You don't think so?
Right now?
Well, maybe not free, but like making the split 2-tiered, both paid.
I think that's a bad idea.
You think so? Okay.
I do.
Because it's confusing?
It's confusing.
Well, let me first just make it seem like it's not, just to vet any other problems with it. But like, if you have, so it's basic and pro, and basic, it just says like 12 basic components, and then pro says
badges, etc.
all components.
Okay.
And you can expand it to see the list of components or something. Maybe it's a checkbox or whatever. And you go, yeah, all right. I mean, people are going to go pro, like for sure. So the reason for having that is that eventually I can lower that basic price and then keep the pro price, but I don't know what that solves. Maybe just thinking that it solves dude, I feel like I should put this in a Flux Pro repo, and that's what you're installing, so that in the future I have the option to be like, here's 8 components for free in Livewire/Flux,
I don't know if I'd worry so much about the mechanics at this point.
Really?
I don't think I would.
It does feel weird, but wouldn't it suck that like you have to install like Livewire/Flux Basic or something?
Yeah, I don't think you should do that either.
Yeah.
I think you need to figure out from Philo if it's possible to switch on certain license keys.
Why? To switch
because
what?
If somebody installs Livewire/Flux and they have a basic key, you serve them the basic package, and they have a pro key,
right?
You serve them the pro package, but they don't install Flux-Pro, Flux-Basic. They just install Flux, and then on the back end, you switch which package you serve them.
Yeah. Right. Okay. But I mean, I'm just thinking of the potential future where a part of this is truly free and open, in the sense that it's just Composer require this thing, no licenses, no keys,
so it wouldn't
no
go through unlock or any
stack
at all.
Because I just feel like it's a barrier A lot of people have told me
It
it's
is.
not a barrier, but I do think it's a barrier.
It's a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know, man.
I maybe am walking back a little bit, the free pro thing. If it's just like it's the same product, or like, I'm sorry, the basic pro thing, if it's just the same product and you're doing 2 different tiers, that's a well-trod path. But I don't know if personally I would love to look at it and see like, oh man, I may need a chart one day. Do I need it now? Should I buy it now? Is there a way to upgrade if I buy basic?
I just want to keep it simple for launch. It's like everybody who wants to get in on this thing and use it and mess with it, and let's like make it good. It's already good, by the way. Just buy it.
Yeah, it's great. Buy it.
Yeah, like I just want to do one price, get in, do the launch thing, get the launch revenue, then start iterating and tweaking and making it more accessible and finding ways to get more people in the door.
Right. So some of these questions are not applicable to right now. So there's like, what should we do right now? That's one set of things. And what should we do long term? That's one set of things. Right now, I think you just put your head down and keep going.
The only thing we care about with the long term is what makes it hard and easy right now. You know, like, is there anything I'm doing that precludes me? Yes. And so if I'm doing, let's just say this, like,
I see,
it's a price. Let's say it's a lifetime price that's $300 lifetime. Whatever. I am sacrificing the future revenue for those people who buy that on launch day. That's the value they're getting. That's why they're paying more for a lifetime.
Correct.
And am I okay to live with that? That's the question. I would say yes. I would say yes.
I think if you are taking the stance that Laravel is getting bigger and Livewire is getting bigger, I think I'm okay with sacrificing that.
Right. It is growing for sure. And yeah, getting it. So Ian's point is that being on a subscription, people are going to go like, I'm not going to subscribe to your thing. It's kind of like we talked about with like pricing, how there's pricing for the value for the people who really get the value.
Right.
And are willing to pay the price and understand that trade. Then there's pricing for all the friends and the people who will throw out a flyer. There's that no-brainer pricing. And I usually preach to people, do the no-brainer pricing. You know, I see that mistake being made by people where they don't do the no-brainer pricing. They go, this price totally justifies it. They do it and then they suffer because they only get the people who are truly dedicated. I want this to be no-brainer pricing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like honestly, $199 lifetime to me is no-brainer pricing. Like,
it feels no-brainer to me.
$99 lifetime feels not good.
Feels great. Yeah.
Feels
great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would up that for sure.
Yeah, $199 even $199 feels low, but like $299 feels more like it. But it could be a launch sale. Like $199 lifetime is launch sale, and then just bump it later. You know,
this is not something you should pursue right now. You should keep your head down and power through. I do think stepping sideways into Rails for this particular product could potentially be very lucrative.
That would be, well, so much of this is blade component,
I know.
Whatever. Like, I would have to learn all the ways of the Rails blade component, but a good starting point, like we've talked about a little bit, is turning Alpine components into a live-wired Flux.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Turn that into a project that uses the same core, but offers just the full template. Like, you copy and paste this in your app, and then you componentize it yourself. Feels like it could be an easy enough thing to do. Yeah, I just have to make sure it's like bulletproof with Turbo, but whatever. I think it is.
I think you're like 90% of the way there if it's bulletproof with Livewire.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that many people respond and say like, hey, can you please bring this to Rails? We're suffering in this regard. That was surprising to me.
Yeah, it's not an overwhelming amount, but I've heard it a handful of times, and especially the people who are crossovers, like, and obviously Matt Swanson reached out in 2 seconds, and Chris.
Hey, Matt.
So sorry, Chris, I'm forgetting your last name. If his last name, if profile picture would work, you would see it and go, oh yeah, Chris. He's one of the whatever. He's one of us in the Rails community, you know.
Okay.
And he's begging for something like that, and yeah, because it would be huge for those communities that can't use ShadCN, basically. A sexy, sleek UI component library to solve these problems. That's not full buy-in like Shoelace or something. That's
Right.
like you're getting all the styles as well. Yeah, there's another one that just that's coming out. So the Font Awesome guys are doing Web Awesome. You heard of this?
No,
It's called Web Awesome.
I haven't heard of them in years.
Yeah. So it's called Web Awesome, and they kickstarted it.
Wow.
So that's their thing. So I think it's going to be open source, and they just decided to fundraise upfront and do a Kickstarter, and I think they raised like $700,000.
Is it
for Web Awesome?
Is it components? Is it like
it's
web components?
So it's very much like the web components I'm shipping, except it's not headless. So
Got it.
It is kind of like Shoelace, if you're familiar with that. That's a web component UI library, whatever. Where like you're using, so their pitch with Web Awesome is my pitch with the components inside Flux, except with Web Awesome, it's like your dropdown looks like how they made it look,
right?
Which makes it super easy and it's like totally in line with the Font Awesome just vibe, and it's going to do great. But obviously, it's like important to me that you are able to use Tailwind and customize it to your app's needs.
Sure.
So this is still kind of a unique offering and whatever. But honestly, a good idea that came out of this is like just do a little detour after the dust settles a little bit and just like revamp Alpine components into a de-Laravel'd Flux.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Yeah, I feel like that would be good. It would redeem a lot of value there under the hood as well. So
yeah.
All right. So I mean, like as it stands right now on this show, Aaron, I'm feeling like $199 or $299 lifetime launch,
unlimited projects.
Bump that price for more seats. So it's like if you have a 10 person team, maybe it's like $599, $6, I don't know, something like that. And then anything else is enterprise, and you call me and we book a deal.
Yep.
Or whatever, however that works.
I think that's completely reasonable. And part of me feels like you're like in the storm right now. And a week from now, it's going to just be like, oh yeah, this model's totally fine. Let's just keep going.
Right. I know. Yeah. Yep. Word. All right. Thanks for jamming on Flux. We solved it.
You got it. Is that it? Is that it for today's show?
What else you got? I'm good. You got anything else?
Oh, I don't think I have anything else. Ian should be back soon. He is still sick, but he's getting better.
Tomorrow's his big day, right?
Tomorrow's his big day. He's getting his gallbladder removed, which who knows what that does.
Who knows?
Not me. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll probably, unless you have anything, I'll read us out here.
Oh yeah, read us out. Remember that this episode is brought to you by Transistor FM.
Kind of.
Also Spot. I'm so sorry, Spot. No, Spotsy gets equal. Spotsy's amazing.
No,
Spotsy's amazing.
Not.
Thank you, Spotsy. Thank you, Frake. Let me just make up for my sins real quick, Aaron Francis. It's brought to you by Transistor, but also by Spotsy. And Frake is incredible, obviously, but Sebastian Dedena helped me a lot on like lo-fi early days decision making.
Good
because
guy,
he's
Sebastian.
One of the brains that he's a beautiful brain, and
he's a beautiful brain.
And when you're really in the struggle and you need a beautiful brain, I couldn't think of anyone better than Sebastian. I reached out to him and he helped me, and he's just the best. So he works at Spotsy. You work with Spotsy, you get Sebastian and Frake and all the other super smart people. So
totally redeemed yourself.
Totally redeemed.
You can find us at mostlytechnical.com, on Twitter at mostlytechpod, or you can send us emails that I assume Ian reads at mostlytechnicalpodcast@gmail.com. Caleb, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter. FluxUI.dev.
FluxUI.dev. It's very good. Go buy it. Whatever the price is on the page, that's the price. Who knows what it is, but it's worth it.
Honestly, if you're pre-ordering, I should take pre-order down after this podcast. But like if you're pre-ordering, you're probably getting a deal or something. I don't know. So
if you're
I'm not
pre-ordering,
screw the pre-order folks.
Give a shout out to Logan Kraft. It's all his fault.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning into the show, Caleb. Thanks for stepping in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, bud.